11% of all Liverpool players in its entire history have been given a debut by Jurgen Klopp. This is the series, the monthly series on our channel where we review the best and the worst of the football over the past month. We're going to talk about Jurgen Klopp, and we're going to talk about his team of the month, Liverpool, who have done a remarkable thing. Just look at this lineup against Southampton. For God's sake. So that's that, the 11% of Liverpool players that have ever played for the club have been given a debut by Jurgen Klopp. Now, that doesn't say 11% of all of Liverpool's players in history have played under Jurgen Klopp. It says given a debut. That doesn't count the players that had already made appearances for the club when Jurgen Klopp had come to the club, which reveals so much about the legacy that Jurgen Klopp is going to leave at the club. One, the amount of turnover he can have, while keeping a really good atmosphere in the club and keeping the production out of players at a really high level. And two, his trust in the academy, which a few years ago there was this narrative. I remember thinking that way, that we rely too much on the group of players that won the Champions League, and we're using the same starting 11 from the Champions League final. Well, that team only played together once, but like that same group, that same core of players, we seem to use them too often and get a little bit tired. And, you know, that was a little bit to blame for the poor, or the less fortunate 2021 season. So it's really funny. I think this month of Liverpool teaches us so much about the operations at a football club and how we build our memories and how legacies are created. Yeah, we all have really short memories because nobody's saying now that Liverpool doesn't rely on the academy. Of course they do, but that wasn't the narrative just 2 or 3 years ago. You know. Now there was a really fascinating interview from Alex Ingelthorpe, easy for me to say, with Jamie Carragher on the Telegraph before the Carabao Cup final, which reveals so much. And when you really think about it, the legacy that Klopp leaves behind, one, with the future generation of players that have just come through in the club, and how lucky is the next Liverpool manager to have such a core of players that have already had such experience. And two, when you really think about it, what the use of academy players has done to the club, and why Jurgen Klopp has kept a small group of senior players, which one makes it a much more tight-knit group. See Chelsea, 35 or so players, not good chemistry, failure. With Liverpool, you have 25 or so senior players, and then you rely on academy players that can step in when needed. 5 or 6 academy players have now made senior debuts and have played with such confidence and ability that you didn't see coming. I didn't see coming. Nobody saw coming. I don't think even Jurgen Klopp saw it coming. Alex Ingelthorpe himself, the academy director, said to Jamie Carragher in that interview, there are a lot of good academies out there. Not all clubs have a manager with the courage to play youngsters at big moments. He doesn't just give 10 minutes, he being Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't just give 10 minutes here and there with the team 4-0 up. There are so many examples when he has played virtually complete academy teams. There are times when I have looked at the starting 11 and thought, wow, I'm not sure even I would do that. Now, that was before the Carabao Cup final, obviously before the Southampton win. So that references times in the Carabao Cup where I remember us playing against Leicester City in a Carabao Cup game. We won on penalties, and this was the starting 11. That's remarkable. Connor Bradley was there. Connor Bradley was in the starting lineup. And the likes of Billy Cometio, who went out now on loan, and so many names you don't hear of now, but so many names that you hadn't. Like Connor Bradley. Have you really heard of him before? But he's made a senior appearance before he broke through this year. Now, Connor Bradley, the likes of Connor Bradley, Bobby Clark, and James McConnell, I believe, well, Jarell Quansah, obviously, but even before these players, have definitely made themselves actual first-team players now. So Connor Bradley is the backup right back. I think that's a completely fair thing to say. I think that's something that even Joe Gomez would agree with, because he's happy to play right back cover, but his main position is center back. He'll play left back. He'll play DM against, like he did against Southampton. But what that does is, when we were talking in the summer about transfers on this channel and on the James Lawrence Alcott channel in his narrative series, one of the things I remember saying in around that time of like August, September time is that we need a right back, because there's no cover or competition for Trent. Trent has no cover and has no competition. Now there is. Now there definitely 100% is. And what that does is that it saves you money on paying another 15 million or so on a backup right back just to pay them. Well, the Premier League average wage is 60,000. Alex Ingelthorpe does the math for us all. A Premier League squad player is between 15 million and 25 million pounds, and the average Premier League wage is 60,000 pounds a week. So if you have 3 academy players on the bench, it could save you somewhere in the region of 70 million pounds per year. Exactly. And that's why a whole brand new academy was built. The club was able to afford so many stadium expansions. Now look at the state of the stadium when Jurgen Klopp was bought and now. And that's the kind of stuff the club is able to spend money on, because it trusts its academy to be the backup players, to be the second choice, third choice center back Jarell Quansah, to be the second choice right back Connor Bradley, to be a backup defensive midfielder that can come up from the academy when needed in James McConnell. In Tyler Morton, you will see Tyler Morton next season. Tyler Morton is a star. So there's this general learning, I think, for all football fans, that the academy is such an important asset. And I think in a lot of transfer conversation, it gets forgotten, because obviously the academy isn't going to get as much coverage as the senior players that are linked to the club, because it's not as fun. And these are youth leagues, and nobody really knows, except if they're working at the club or they are a scout, a professional scout, let's say. Nobody really knows how well a player can perform. But yeah, that's what the academy provides, and that's what I think Liverpool have taught the rest of the world. We have 14 players out injured, and we are still able to go out with a team like that against Southampton and win 3-0 with no fuss. Well, I say with no fuss. There were about 3 big chances missed by Southampton in the first half alone. But it was, at the end, it was more comfortable than it should have been for a group of players that inexperienced. Remarkable month from Liverpool. And I think it's the most actually impressive when you really look at the start of the month. We lost with a pretty full team against Arsenal 3-1, and then the rest of the month we kept piling on the injuries and piling on the academy players and winning every single game, including the Carabao Cup final. And obviously there's a lot of Liverpool players out on loan right now, and some of them are academy players, but there are 3 academy products from Liverpool at other teams at the moment that I think can leave a mark. Tyler Morton, of course, I mentioned it before. He's played in the Champions League before, actually, with Liverpool in that 2021 season. I think is going to have a big future in the big leagues. 1, incredibly combative. 2, a very well-rounded midfielder that plays primarily as a 6, but is incredibly well-rounded, and because it's a deliberate thing. James Pearce of The Athletic in their daily football podcast mentioned that a Liverpool midfielder has to learn the whole shebang, as he called it, the whole thing. Nobody should just learn how to be a number 6, which, when you look at it and you remember what kinds of roles the Liverpool midfielders so far have played, it makes sense. You buy a really creative midfielder that can, contribute to the final third at a world-class level, but has played in a double pivot and can be used in a number 6 when you really train him to do it. Alexis McAllister, or Wataru Endo, who is primarily a 6, but has contributed going forward in a big way. Curtis Jones has played many appearances in the number 6 role, although we all know he's primarily a number 8, either right or left. James McConnell himself is primarily a number 8, but in the appearances he's had for Liverpool, he's been a 6. because all Liverpool midfielders coming up from the academy should be competent in all midfield roles. And that has been such an important thing for us this season, that we have had in a senior level and in the youth teams many players that can play pretty much every role in midfield. That's being utilized by the first team anyway. And speaking of defensive midfielders, there's one player that stands out from this month for me. Beyond all of the academy products, and we've used so many of them that it's hard to pick up one of them as the player of the month. And the player of the month has to come from Liverpool, undoubtedly. It's Joe Gomez. It's Joe Gomez. How good is this guy? Against Southampton, watching him play in the six was like a fever dream. So when the team came out, I thought it was McConnell in the six, and Footmob had Gomez at right back and Connor Bradley as a number 8 in midfield, and I just burst out laughing. But this is even funnier. This guy has played in every role imaginable in the back line. And then now he's played as a 6, and he's played it really well. Like, you have him like dropping back and splitting the center backs. You'll have him progress with the ball, like make a couple dribbles upfield, and make himself available left and right wherever the build-up is being played. He'll shift himself wherever the build-up play is going to be. And it was so much fun to watch. Joe Gomez is a really fun player to watch. I've decided this. He's one of my favorite players. If you love the game, you love Joe Gomez, and you wish him nothing but a goal very soon, because he has to be rewarded. He has to be rewarded with all of the hard work he's done for Liverpool and all of the injuries that he's had and his resilience, and every time he gets injured, he comes back and he plays at a higher level than before the injury. It's remarkable. It's so much fun. Another fun tidbit about this is that the Liverpool Academy has played such a big part in defeating Chelsea, who have been selling their academy products in order to buy players with these long contracts and those 8-year commitments and those massive wages and massive prices, and you know the rest. I don't have to explain it to you, but I think it's a really good contrast between a successful structure and an unsuccessful structure that should teach the world, what a successful football club should look like. Right, now we hand out some non-Premier League awards here, and I'm going to focus on Sporting Lisbon this week because Ruben Amorim is growing on me a little bit. Shout out Tom Little. This guy speaks about Ruben Amorim every Twitter space on JLAFC that I've been in, at least, and every day in his Twitter account. And although I'm not convinced by Ruben Amorim more than Xabi Alonso yet, but Ruben Amorim is growing on me a lot because he is someone that plays in a similar way to Xabi Alonso. According to what I read, it's impossible to watch Portuguese football here. There was literally no way to watch the Portuguese Cup semi-final the other day. There was no way. But according to what I read, all right, it seems like he plays a similar style to Xabi Alonso with some differences in the style of build-up. It seems like he gets the best out of players. So when he came to Sporting Lisbon, it was a depleted squad. It was not really a good enough squad. The title was always going to be between two teams, either Porto or Benfica, and then it became a 3-horse race ever since with Sporting Lisbon, who won their first league title in 2020-2021 with Ruben Amorim in charge. And there's an excellent chance of them winning it again this season. They are 2 points behind with a game in hand. They win it, they get a point ahead. And Victor Gyökeres, I've spoken about him in this channel before, is having an astonishing season, having come from a championship side in Coventry City. Well, he also brought through some talents that are now perceived to be elite. Gonçalo Inácio is linked to Liverpool. Maybe Ruben Amorim will come to Liverpool and bring Gonçalo Inácio with him as a center-back option in a back 3 where you have Inácio, Gomez, Van Dijk. You have the backup, Jarell Quansah. You have another backup, Billy Cometio. He also brought through Mateus Nunes, who's now, of course, at Manchester City and went there for really big money. Nuno Mendes and Thiago Thomas have also come through thanks to Ruben Amorim. A good record so far at bringing through academy talent and a good record of getting the best out of players. So that's all very, very encouraging. Oh, why? There's so much glare. Hold on. Let me bring that light down a bit. It's getting dark outside. So a good record so far in bringing players through. A good record in developing players and bringing the best out of them. And yeah, if he comes to Liverpool, I'm happy. There you go, Tom. There you go, Tom. Subscribe to Just a Liverpool Podcast. Cheers. Bye.